Hey, welcome to Greenlight. Sorry about the false start here, but today we're talking about the best streaming movies to stream during coronavirus. I know a lot of people are dealing with these hardships of either not working, not going to school, or anything like that, but you're still striving as a filmmaker. You could be even in college right now, going. Not being able to go to school and you're going to have to do everything online. So, to help you through this time, I've got some movies that are educational films, so to speak, but they're all very entertaining and very good films that are overlooked. So, these are on all the streaming platforms. I have most of them. So we're going to be talking about Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, HBO Now, Showtime, and Disney Plus. So I have movies for that, and there's like over 80 or so movies. So let's just get started and let's get this going. I hope you have your toilet paper. All jokes aside, a lot of serious stuff going on with this. So I hope you guys and everyone out there is safe. So let's get started and let's talk about some movies. All right. Yay. All right, cool. So let's get started here. All right, our first film I'm going to talk about here is Hook. Um, Hook, let's see. Ooh, I think there's a problem with our streaming. All right, so 2 minutes in, it looks like the live stream's getting a little stronger. Let me know in the live stream chat if everything is a-okay. Hoping it is. So, okay. So our first film here is Hook, and Hook is a Steven Spielberg film. Yeah, I believe it's working just fine. All right, cool. So, Hook is a Steven Spielberg film, and one of my favorite Peter Pan movies. There's not many good Peter Pan films, except for maybe the Disney animated version. Me and my wife love that one. Real big fans of that one. But this one, I showed it to my wife the other day, and we were just talking about how almost perfect this film is done, and just the character of Peter Pan, Robin Williams playing Peter Pan, and him going through turmoil and everything, and actually growing up, which is something really strange for that character, because the whole message is to not grow up and all this stuff. So it's got a great message. It could even be a great family film. Wouldn't suggest it if you have a toddler like me and my wife. Exactly, but it's a little darker, but it's a great film to check out. And for any filmmaker and writer, it's great to see how the characters evolve and how they're able to set their own universe in this story that's being told over and over again. Okay, so we'll move on to our next film here, and it's Shawshank Redemption. Shawshank Redemption is a Stephen King novel. Actually, a lot of people may not know this, but Frank Darabont, I believe, did a short film, or he's actually one of the best writers for Stephen King out there too that people don't know about. He did the movie The Mist as well, and Frank Darabont made his splash onto the big screen with his directorial debut of Shawshank Redemption, and I believe it was a short film that he had wrote, and then I guess he was challenged to do a feature film, and it's a low budget feature film done at a prison that was a real operating prison at one point, and then they retrofitted it for this film. Phenomenal film, classic storytelling. So if you need something that's with classic storytelling and the best narration from any actor, and has made him an icon, Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman has the best voice ever for anything. Best voice actor ever. I mean, this is the guy to basically have started that trend and actually made a name for himself within narration and everything. So this film is great on all levels, and something great to learn from, especially like timing and everything with acting. So, like I said, great film. Just check this out. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen this film and any other film that I do talk about throughout today. So we're going to go on to our next film, and our next film is Goodfellas. Goodfellas, a Martin Scorsese film, has a character that is not necessarily a character that is what you would call it, kind of like a good character. So he's trying to get you on his side. He's a bad guy, really, but he's our main character, and he's just basically using all his wits of being a part of the mob and everything to kind of get us as an audience on his side and understand where he's coming from, as a criminal. Great, phenomenal film. There's a one shot here that you should really look out for. It's a one take. Basically, this guy goes to a club. The character's called Henry Hill. So Henry Hill goes to a club with his future wife, and it starts with this great music and this great Steadicam. At the time, it was never really seen like that, to have a Steadicam operator do this long of a take. So it goes from, giving the car to the valet all the way to getting a table inside the venue. So check it out. Let me know in the comments below if you love it. Oh, my wife is giving me a text message. She can't find any wipes. This is kind of tough now. We can't find any wipes during the coronavirus. I love you more, baby doll. No worries. So we have here Goodfellas. So with that being said, let's move on. Our next film here is Crash. As you can see, I've watched it recently. Some of these films you'll see that I have seen it before recently on my phone. There's some movies that are just, you got to watch multiple times and really understand, not only understand the film, but just, seeing all the nuances and things and study the actual film itself. I love this film, Crash. It's one of the movies that really got me into filmmaking as a whole around 2004, around this time when this got even nominated for Best Picture, even though it won Best Picture at some point. At that time, I know I was talking to the Art Institute and telling them about this film while they were trying to interview me to get into the school. Great, phenomenal film. One of those movies where, they handle a bunch of different storylines, a bunch of different characters at the same time. What's going on? You need Catboy in his car? Let me see. Okay. All right, we can't be so loud because it sounds really loud for people. Okay, here you go. All right. Going on to now our next film. Like I said about this one, it has a poetic nature actually to it, for all the characters, and it ties in so well at the end, and it's so great and so emotional. And it's one of those movies that gets you thinking, and it is about racism, but like tensions between people, and just because we have differences and all that stuff doesn't mean that you can't relate to anybody and find something to uh, uh, be a little bit more relatable to their situation. So moving on to our next film, we have here is Enemy. Enemy is one of those films that is overlooked nowadays, especially for a Denis Villeneuve film. Excuse me, sorry, burping. Take some water a little bit there. So yeah, Enemy is a great film, great thriller to see. It's not a very long movie, hour and a half. It's a low budget film. It was done at the same time as, I believe, Prisoners. Ooh. He's got a lot of movies that have come out over time, including Arrival and Blade Runner 2049. And he's coming out with a new movie called Dune. It's a remake of Dune. And people were saying great things about that. But this is one of those movies, Enemy, one of those films, even with Jake Gyllenhaal, great acting. He confronts himself like a doppelganger type thing. Very interesting. This goes on with a lot of what I have in this list, a lot of thrillers and sci-fi aspects to storytelling. So it's a lot of films that I fancy. But yeah, this is not one that a lot of people look at, and it's if you're a Denis Villeneuve fan, you know about this film already, and if you have a friend that is, they've talked about this film. So definitely check this out. It's definitely something to well worth seeing. Just seeing how he handles, the pacing of the film, and trying to keep it interesting with only a limited amount of characters. That's another thing that it's great to check out. So moving on to our next film, Blade Runner, one of my favorite films. There's what is called the final cut on Netflix. Not to, you know, dog this film and its version on Netflix, which is weird that the final cut's like everywhere. They think that's the final cut. I kind of am I gravitated more towards the director's cut. That was my favorite. That was the one I saw. I had just moved to Los Angeles at the time. I went to Amoeba, and they had a $1.99 DVD, and it was the director's cut of Blade Runner. I had never seen it before that. So just so you could imagine, I'm just moving to Los Angeles. I'm by myself. I'm used to having a lot of family. I have a big family, so I'm used to having family around, a lot of people around me, and friends and stuff like that at the time. Just had a roommate at the time, but I just watched this movie, and it just like gave me chills. I'm like, oh man, I hope like Los Angeles don't turn like this while I'm there. But it over time became such a movie for me to soothe myself. And having a long day, you come home and you listen to the music, and like I love film noir. I'm a big film noir fan, and that's one of the things that you find in film school. They really gravitate towards film noir films, and they show you these films because they're very character based, and finding out about these characters, and and seeing how they grow, and the tension and everything like that. The stories are pretty broad, and you could do a lot of great things with it. And at this time, there was no sci-fi film like this. So from then on, I mean, we have every sci-fi film now out copying this one movie. Okay, so if you haven't seen 2049, that's fine. I suggest you see Blade Runner. I'm not sure if this one has the voiceover. So if it has the voiceover, I'm not too keen on it. I love the movie, the director's cut without the voiceover. They didn't explain anything. It was more along the lines of the sequel itself. So enjoy this. I don't think this has the voiceover, but let me know in the comments below if it does. Okay, our next film, now we're jumping into Hulu here. So Hulu So Hulu has a bunch of films that carry over even to the Amazon Prime. So we're now jumping into the Hulu stage of things. Um, let's see, and this is 28 Days Later. So 28 Days Later, made in 2003, is directed by Danny Boyle. Danny Boyle, at the time, very experimental too at the time, and he still is. At this time, Mini DV had just come out, so the new Canon Pro consumer cameras were out. So they retrofitted those cameras with Mini DV, shooting it on Mini DV, and which is basically the highest of 480p, which is DVD quality at the time. And they filmed the whole movie on that, and and they basically had like certain lenses that would mimic like film lenses and everything like that. So this is great for any like independent filmmaker that you just feel like these movies are just too big, too out there for me to, have a grasp on it. A lot of the films I'm talking about today, will hopefully inspire you to making your film. I understand that some of these films are even like post-apocalyptic type films, so don't, let that go. And this is more for filmmakers to get their creative juices flowing. Even during hurricanes, like this was one movie that I saw during a hurricane. So my dad was putting up all the shutters and everything like that. A friend of mine lended it to me on VHS, and then I had played it like halfway. I barely finished it, and I went and helped my dad with the storm shutters, and then I came back and I watched the rest of it, and it just, very gripping film and very inspiring since it was shot all on mini DV. And at the time, it was like unheard of that they would use the technology that we have as consumers. Nowadays, it's like way off the rails, and everything that we have as a pro consumer, that you could find at Best Buy or anywhere like that, the technology is all very close and up to date to what is out there for movie theaters, but except for like bit rates and things like that, more technical things. So just basically check out this channel of mine. I have something with that about the red cameras and versus black magic, and about the 10-bit the bit rates and stuff like that, and what is bit rate, right? That's basically what that video is about. So I'll link it at the end of this on the end of this video, so you can check that out. So our next one I'm going to talk about, it's another low budget film. This came out in 2014. A lot of the films that I'm talking about today, a lot of them weren't brand new films that just came out recently. I expect people to find them on their own, and I expect you to find it on your own easily through these streaming sites. They're definitely going to be selling them to you and all that. So I'm pointing out movies like this that are more like indie filmmakers like myself, micro budget. This is really a micro budget film about 8 friends at a dinner party. It says here, in the mind-bending sci-fi thriller, 8 friends at a dinner party start experiencing strange and mysterious events. So very interesting. It's a movie that takes place all in one place in a house. It's one of those things where, as a independent filmmaker, sometimes have to be, you sometimes only have access to your home or somebody else's apartment, or all in a car, or like many other films, it's just one location type deal, and how to make that interesting is everything. And this film, Coherence, went above and beyond that. It was shot all on a DSLR Canon, I believe a Canon 5D at the time. And like, oh, my wife will be home soon. Okay. Right, okay. So Coherence, I can't stress this enough. This is another film, like 28 Days Later, that is also available on Amazon Prime, which is something I won't be saying when I get to the Amazon Prime. So just listen out. It's Amazon Prime also that you can see this film as well. They're both on Hulu and Amazon Prime. So moving on to our next film, like I can't even say enough about Coherence, just so you know. Huge fan. Can't believe that this was done. It's still out there, and it's one of the most popular like micro budget films out there. And trust me, the ending is pretty mind bending, and it'll like shock you. So this next film here, done in 1998. This is a film called Pi, and it's basically about a genius mathematician. It says who built a supercomputer that provides the key for understanding, I guess, the universe and everything like that as a whole for us as human beings. So basically, this film, phenomenal film, low budget film. It's a first for our director. Why am I not remembering his name? He ended up doing. Wow, he ended up doing a lot of films. Why I can't get Danny Boyle out of my head right now. He ended up doing The Fountain, I believe, and many other films. One of my favorite directors too, Darren Aronofsky. Darren Aronofsky, and I have another film of his on here as well. Down the line, I believe in the HBO and stuff like that with Black Swan, but we'll get into that later. This film was shot all on film. A couple locations here and there. Darren Aronofsky's first directorial debut. It's an hour and 24 minutes, and again, a great use of what you have as a filmmaker. I'm a big fan of like Robert Rodriguez, and one of the things that he says a lot, it's like write what you have. He had a turtle and a guitar, and then he made El Mariachi for like $7,000, and now look at where he is. So this is one of those types of films, including with Coherence. This is one of those types of films that get the filmmaker, it gives the filmmaker kind of like a springboard to their next film. After this, Darren Aronofsky ended up creating films like Requiem for a Dream and, down the line like The Fountain, Black Swan, and stuff like that. Noah, if you ever seen Noah. So let me know in the comments below if you really like this guy's films, because I love Darren Aronofsky. He's a great filmmaker. So moving on to our next one, another horror type film, not so big in horror. It's funny that it's categorized as a comedy here on Hulu here. So The Cabin in the Woods. This director, he ended up creating a bunch of films. He comes from, I believe he comes from the J.J. Abrams television era. So if you know what I mean by that, this guy, he's good with his name is Drew Goddard, and he created Lost with J.J. Abrams, and it's written, and this movie is also written by Josh Whedon. So all you Marvel fans out there, which I'm not going to be talking too much about here, so no offense, even though I get into maybe Star Wars later. But none of the Marvel films are included in this list here, but Josh Whedon, so you see where he's coming from. This is written by him and Drew Goddard, and Drew Goddard ended up creating The Good Place as well on television, which me and my wife loves. But this film has a great ending, and comedy is kind of funny that it's put there, but it is a little different. It's like taking the regular horror genre of teenagers going into a cabin in the woods, and it really basically throws you for a loop because you don't even realize where it's going, and has such a great ending. So moving on, and we're going to do our next film, and it's called The French Connection. And for all you independent filmmakers out there, this was done in 1971. In the 70s, they did a lot of uh, movies that really brought the bar like really high up. The French Connection has a scene in here, and it's a chase scene. It's a car chase scene, and all of that you see, a lot of it was done on the fly. They couldn't even shut down the streets to do most of these chase scenes at all. So check it out. It's an Academy Award winning film, Best Picture winner in 1971. So check that out and let me know in the comments below if you like it. There is a sequel to this film, not one I totally recommend, but these are types of films that they would recommend in film school and stuff like that. This movie, French Connection, is one of them. So definitely check them out. And hey, baby. And then moving on to our next film on Hulu here is Sorry to Bother You. This is a much more recent type film, but because of its storytelling and shocking ending, highly recommend it. It's one of those movies that are I wouldn't say it's meta, but it's different for a comedy. It's not a straightforward comedy or spoof or anything like that. It's one of those type of comedies that get you thinking. So definitely high on my list and one to definitely check out. This actor here, man, what's his name again? I loved him in Atlanta. If you ever seen the show Atlanta on FX, his character, he basically just pops out of your television. Because anytime he says any line, you're left there with what? What did he just say? And he's such an oddball out of the three, having Childish Gambino there, and then you have Paperboy there as well, and stuff like that. So out of that dynamic, and he's this real oddball type dude that hangs out with all of them. So, and really puts a fresh spin on a character, on any actor that's doing character-based stories and stuff like that. So I love the way his take was and how he reacts to certain things in the show. So it's very, very cool. So this movie is definitely one to check out, and an actor that I can see really, really go far in the future. Next film. This is the last film by Stanley Kubrick. There's not many Stanley Kubrick films from what I noticed in the streaming platforms. I had talked about it with some friends at work, and a friend of mine there is reading the Clockwork Orange on in novel, and was telling me I don't understand all the slang, and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you got to see the movie. The movie followed exactly page for page of what it is in the book. But Stanley Kubrick definitely tends to do different things, and he really raised the bar very high when it came to this mysterious kind of world, where the elite rich have these sexual orgy parties that are almost if you're not invited, you're gonna die, basically. They're gonna threaten you and all this stuff. But it's a great thriller. It's one of his last films. He died right before they edited the film, so it's great to see this film. And if you see anything, there's a documentary that came out with the 2-disc version that I had of this film. It's one of those movies that I definitely have to rebuy on Bluray. So stick around this channel and you'll see that happen. But it's definitely one to check out. Acting is great. The music and just the cadence of direction, the cadence of the acting in the film, and seeing these two, Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman at their prime, and they were actually, together as a couple during this film. So definitely want to check out and see how they did with this movie. Let me know in the comments below if you check this out. I love it. Love Stanley Kubrick, big fan. And, somebody that definitely influences me as a filmmaker. All right, our next film here, I haven't seen it myself, but it's definitely on my list to check out. It's called Loving Vincent. But from the trailers and interviews and everything I keep seeing about this film, it's phenomenal the way they went from different versions of Vincent van Gogh's paintings and being able to try to tell his story in the mystery that surrounds his death. It says mystery that surrounds the death of famed painter Vincent van Gogh in 1890 of France. It was done in 2017. It's an fully animated movie, not all that long. Definitely one I'm definitely gonna check out. I have all these on my phone, so whenever I find the time, I try to check out films even on my phone. So let me know if you're also a person that watches movies on your phone in the comments below. So with that being said, let me know if you have seen this movie. I definitely want to check it out for myself. But I love how they did something different. And this is also a low budget movie. I believe it was crowdfunded as well, I think. And let's talk about that in the comments. Let me know if you know if it was crowdfunded or not. So, yeah, this is our thumbnail. And then now moving on to HBO. So HBO has a bunch of older films that you should definitely check out. Here I have here is called The Abyss. So The Abyss is directed by James Cameron, and James Cameron kind of pushed the limits right before Terminator 2, and we had the T-1000 in its liquid form, being able to go through things and all that stuff, and shapeshift and all that. Well, basically there was an animated, a CGI, one of the first CGI animated things out there, aside from, I think it was a Sherlock Holmes type movie or something that they did something like that back in the day, and it was the first CGI rendered character. So here we have one that's all liquid, and it's hard to do water, and it's always been hard to do all the way up to, even like Finding Nemo, just trying to get water correctly, so they found a way to do it here, and they did it amazingly. So check it out. Let me know what you think about this film. If you ever heard of the film Underwater that came out recently, I believe that movie was like a take on The Abyss. Really check this film out. Let me know in the comments below if you have, and if you're a fan of James Cameron, let me know. I don't have Avatar on this list because it's still fairly new, and I believe everyone has mostly seen it, and it's basically Pocahontas to me. I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, you want things? So, this next one here is Alien. So, Alien, one of my favorite films. I would talk about the whole quadrilogy and stuff like that. I love the whole franchise, but Alien 1, again, had their own hurdles making this film. 20th Century Fox was all over Ridley Scott, trying to make sure that this film comes out correctly. It's one of Ridley Scott's first big films. A lot of people came off of this. Sigourney Weaver became Sigourney Weaver because of this film. We didn't know she even existed. But great storytelling. It's a great way to learn how, you can introduce a bunch of characters and have your main character be a part of it. And the audiences, having learned everybody, including our main character, like Sigourney Weaver, not to give anything away, but we tend to end up following her, and people didn't realize that when the film came out and it opened, they didn't realize that the main character was going to be a female. So it was one of those big things that came out when it was released and everything like that. So it's great to see how they wrote this film and how they wrote a strong female character, which is very prevalent nowadays and definitely something that's going on and made history this year. So definitely check this out. These are one of those first films that had, even brought that to everybody's attention. So check it out. Let me know what you think about Alien. The next one is Apocalypse Now. Apocalypse Now went through a lot of pitfalls and stuff like that during production. They've had a long production schedule that ended up expanding because they had to keep so many things kept going wrong for this film, and Francis Ford Coppola even had a nervous breakdown making this film. So check it out. Very trippy movie for a war film. Really gets you in the mentality of losing your mind within war and everything like that. So let me know in the comments below if you've seen this and you like this type of film. The next one here I have is Big. I know you see, I think it's called The Big Green down there. I give a shout out to that film too. But Big, I enjoyed it. One of those kind of guilty pleasure movies or something. Tom Hanks and kid. I remember this as a kid. Kid wishes to be big and be older, and he ends up being Tom Hanks, and he gets a job with a toy company and stuff like that, and it's just like a lot of fun to check out. One of those movies that you don't see a lot nowadays if it doesn't have special effects and stuff like that. Just great storytelling. Let me know in the comments below if you have seen this film, and let's move on to the next one. So this next one is Beautiful. B-I-U-tiful. Spelled a little differently. I believe that this is, let me see. I'm using my IMDb. Yeah, it's a Alejandro Inarritu film. So he directed Birdman. If you ever seen Birdman, great, phenomenal film. And then I think he did 21 Grams as well. Well, this film, Logan, she's not there. She's coming right back. Mommy's just getting milk. Hold on. Mommy give you Play-Doh? You have Play-Doh there. You don't need the whole box of Play-Doh now. You're okay. It's okay. It's okay. Shush. All right. You're crying. No, you need a shush. It's okay. You don't need that right now. No, you have Play-Doh right here. You got Play-Doh right here. Play-Doh, man. You want to go nap? Do you need to go nap? No, because... Okay. You don't need all that. You don't. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. We don't need all the Play-Doh. No, just one at a time. Yeah, this whole thing gets to everybody, I guess. Only one Play-Doh. I'm sorry. No, one Play-Doh. You have Play-Doh there. Logan. So, talking about this movie, Beautiful. Yeah, I know. I think you need a nap. That's what it is. Doing well with your kids and everything like that, and kind of conserving their time and just getting them to concentrate on one thing and not everything that we have in store for them in the day. 3-year-olds want to do it all at once. I know, and cry about every little thing. I know. No, you have your Play-Doh. I'm sorry. I have to be strong about this. So this film here talks a lot about really deep things, a lot of life and death type of stuff. Definitely one to check out if you're interested in supernatural type films. Our main character here really he basically can see dead people. He can see them, and he tries to help everybody. He has a gift that can potentially help everyone. It's Javier Bardem, so great acting. Definitely one to check out. Even this film down here, Black Swan. So we'll get into Black Swan right now. Like I've said about Darren Aronofsky, and this film was shot on Super 16, all on Super 16 millimeter film. Type of film stock that I definitely was able to try out myself. When I went to the Art Institute, I shot a short film and stuff like that on Super 16. It looks amazing, especially when you don't have the money for Super 35 and 35 millimeter film. Film is still very expensive for independent filmmakers, but if you have that budget and you want to have that film look, I mean, there's no better film stock to go for, and it's Super 16. And then our next one here, let me see if both of them kind of show up on here. Yeah, okay, so both Casino Royales. Definitely one to check out. I don't believe I saw the original one, the 1967 one, but HBO is doing this. They have a bunch of the new James Bonds that have come out with Daniel Craig. One of my favorite James Bond films is Casino Royale. One of the greatest ones out there. The Casino Royale in 1967, I don't believe I've seen it, but definitely check them out and see the differences. It's great to see how much storytelling has changed and how they have to have certain techniques to keep it interesting for you. The next film, really quick, is Chocolat. Chocolat, great acting. Everything is basically really phenomenal with this film. Academy Award nominated and everything like that. And then yeah, he just needs one Play-Doh. He went and saw your box of Play-Dohs, and he has enough Play-Doh there. He doesn't need all of it at once. That's why he's crying. So, talking about Darjeeling Limited, great film that I enjoy that doesn't get a lot. Yeah, he's talking to his grandfather now and trying to. He wants more Play-Doh. You got Play-Doh there. You got one Play-Doh at a time. Darjeeling Limited. Darjeeling Limited, directed by Wes Anderson. Great storytelling, a little bit different than we've seen a lot of comedies, but it's great to see these characters and these character actors kind of get together and be brothers and become family through hardship and turmoil for themselves. Because they're dealing with like a death in the family and everything like that. So, great film to check out. Especially, love his a parallel filmmaking with his camera, moving it side by side and stuff like that. So we're gonna move on to the next one. The Day After Tomorrow, another great film. I know with all this going on, these are one of those things when, like, during the hurricane, it's one of those movies that, you can watch. It does give you It could give you high anxiety. If you do have high anxiety, I expect you not to watch this. Don't watch this film, and watch any of the other films that I'm suggesting. But I love this film. Great story. Jake Gyllenhaal giving his best and everything like that, from the director of Independence Day and many other apocalyptic type films and stuff like that. So moving on, and this is one of my favorite films here, is called Fight Club. And Fight Club, love the storytelling. Again, a great twist ending. I love movies with twist endings where you think it's going to go one way and it goes a complete other route. A great use of narration as well, like I said about Shawshank Redemption. This is another use of it where you break the fourth wall and you pretty much, it's almost a thing where it's like it brings you in, draws you in a different way, without kicking you out of the storytelling and the submersion of the world, of this world in this movie. So let me know in the comments below if you check this out. One of my favorite directors, David Fincher. He heavily influences me in filmmaking in all his films, and I can't wait to check out what he has next. I believe his last one was Gone Girl, but he was doing the Mindhunter series on Netflix. Great series. But we talk about movies here, so. And our next film here, Gangs of New York. Love Martin Scorsese. This is like the second film I'm talking about of his. Love Gangs of New York. Long film, but basically a big part of our history. I remember my history teacher in high school recommending to go see this in theaters when it comes out, or when it comes out like on DVD, which it did, and he gave us extra credit for watching it. Great film. Definitely different for him at the time, making gangster flicks onto something like this, and having a period type gangster film, and it's very on brand for Martin Scorsese. Love this film. Check it out. Martin Scorsese is one of those directors that I definitely heavily influences me as well. Next film here is Gia. Gia doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's an HBO original film that that has Angelina Jolie, basically at her prime too, but I've heard many things where she got really, really lost in the character of Gia, and heavily influenced her in her life, and may have pushed her a little farther than she expected in real life. This is one of those movies where an actor really gets into a character, and it's hard for them to break character even after the film is done. So definitely check this out, of her giving her all in this character. Harsh Times, a film I haven't seen in a long time. I believe, what's his name? The director of this ended up, he wrote, he didn't direct it, but he wrote Training Day, and he also wrote and I think he wrote and directed Suicide Squad as well. So let me see. Here we go. David Ayer, that's his name. And he directed and wrote Street Kings, if you ever seen that. But Harsh Times is very interesting, not highly budgeted, but it has Christian Bale really giving a really strong and scary performance, hanging out with a friend that you're always like unsure of, which is the whole thing here of this film. So let's move on, and great film to check out. The Ice Harvest, great film, thriller, about two friends here, Billy Bob Thornton, who basically, one of them is a little sketchier as far as them getting away with a big heist full of money that they robbed from a bank, and it's like shady money from very high up in their county, in their town, and all that stuff. So let me know in the comments below if you've checked this film out. Definitely highly recommend this. Great storytelling about like a heist going on and everything like that. And for low budget filmmakers, these type of stories and the way they're told is everything to check out. So it's not like a big budgeted type film, everything blowing up and stuff like that. These are all like character based type films that I'm talking about. So this is one of them. And then The Island, which is the exact opposite of what I was talking about. But a lot of story in here, and you don't really see that coming from Michael Bay. But once it gets into the action, it really doesn't let up, and it just really earns it by the time they escape. So it's great about these clones, sci-fi film. Definitely one highly recommended. Check out all the shots and the way the angles are done and everything like that. The next thing is Midnight Special. A lot of people don't talk about this film as much. I love the sci-fi element to it. It's very low-key, about this special boy who has special powers. I think it's a little otherworldly type powers, so I'm just going to say it like that. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Again, another low-budget type film, storytelling. It just low budget storytelling at its best, staying beat by beat with the characters and emotionally what they're going through scene by scene. So this is great to check out. Another one is Pandorum. Oh, Pandorum, a great film that it's all one location, takes place all in a spaceship. They don't know what is going on outside, let alone what's going on inside the ship and why they haven't been woken up. They don't even. It's really great, and the ending is just like phenomenal. A lot of people don't realize, that this even exists. This next film is Punch Drunk Love. Punch Drunk Love, Paul Thomas Anderson film, different take on love film. So let's move on here. The Recruit is another film, spy thriller. Side Effects, a Steven Soderbergh film. Unbreakable, another film to definitely check out about superheroes, a different take on telling the story. It's an origin, basically, an origin story told in this suspenseful type thriller, mystery type film. M. Night Shyamalan at his best in this one, and I loved Glass as well. So moving on to Amazon Prime, we have Ronin. Ronin is with Al Pacino, as you can see there. Great thriller, heist thriller. Has an amazing chase scene, car chase scene, shootout scenes, and stuff like that. Love action films. But this is a little bit different than most action films. It's not like action beat by beat constantly. It's basically more storytelling and how, they're able to get away with certain things. And it's great to see how criminals are really into their job and how they're very meticulous and stuff like that. So it's great to check out this film. The Pianist, I haven't seen it in a long time, an Oscar winner, but it really, when I saw this in Amazon Prime, I'm like, this is one definitely to check out a couple times. Great acting, something definitely to check out by Adrian Brody. He's an Oscar winner from this film, so it takes place, I believe, in World War II, so definitely check it out. It's a Roman Polanski film. Oh, I didn't realize that, seeing it there, written there. Lord of War, another film that has narration, a little done differently and breaking the fourth wall. Excuse me. This film has a lot of things going on with it, and it's very much about this. Sorry. Excuse me. Very much about this time and everything. So different for Nicolas Cage. People always forget that this movie even exists. So the ones that haven't seen it or have never heard of it, definitely check this out. Not an action-based movie, but more of a dramatic, shocking type film. Right here, Raging Bull. Raging Bull is in multiple streaming platforms, I believe, on here, and I believe it's also on Netflix as well. So check that out. The Passion of the Christ. Just really quick, I know it's a little bit more of a religious type thing, but I love how this film was able to tell this story we've heard 1,000 times if you have in the Bible and everything, and then really give us the short tail end of Jesus's experience. And it's just to see how it was dramatically told for directors and writers, and being able to be more creative even with a story that's been told many times. So moving on here, then we have The Time Machine, one of those guilty pleasure type films for me. Again, I love sci-fi films, so this is a classic story being told again, and it's phenomenal. I think it was a great film to check out. Gets you kind of like thinking, for you to appreciate more of your time period. It's great to check this out, and how you can't really change, the past and stuff like that. So moving on to our next film. Now we're in Showtime. So for all you Showtime members that have the movie the the app for Showtime, this is one of those comedies that Airplane, one of my favorite comedies. Very, if you want like a really quirky and out there comedies, this is a spoof type comedy, spoofing a bunch of things. It's one of the first ones, I believe. It's one of the first ones, and it's great, classic comedy there. A lot of the jokes are from its period, from the 1980s. So if you understand 1980s, check this out. Let me know if you like it as well. Biker Boys. Ooh, it's one of my favorites. A guilty pleasure type action movie. But it's like, if you ever seen the Fast and Furious and stuff like that, this came out around that time. I feel like the story is a little bit stronger in this than Fast and Furious, no offense, even though it's gone far, and there's a lot of things going on with the Fast and Furious now. But this has like this Western look to it, and this Western take to it, and it's just great. The whole Biker Boys thing, and the twist and stuff like that with the characters and things you don't know. So, and then the next one is Blue Streak. Love this comedy. Big Martin Lawrence fan. Kind of taking it a little farther for him in this. But there's a lot of like great classic comedy beats in this. Another guilty pleasure of mine here on Showtime, so check it out. Boys in the Hood is one of those indie darlings that came out in 1991, talking about real dramatical things going on in Los Angeles that has never been in front of a wide audience before, and for people not privy to this world, it was such a shocker for them to see what our young what young people are going through. So John Singleton, he made his directorial debut with this film and got nominated for this film. John Singleton went on ahead and did movies like Baby Boy, and he did Too Fast, Too Furious as well. But one of my favorite films of his was Four Brothers. So shout out to Four Brothers, awesome film. Put in the comments below, let me know if you've seen Boys in the Hood. Next film is Demolition Man. Demolition Man, great film. I love the sci-fi elements to this film, so definitely check this out. Don't need to say much about this. District 9 as well. It was a low-budget short film that got turned into a feature film with Peter Jackson producing it. So I'm kind of going through these kind of quick because I got to go to work very soon, and my son's taking a nap. So this next one is Extraterrestrial. People haven't heard about this, but this is a weird film. I believe it is a low-budget film, but it's just like, it's very horrific type film. It's a horror film done with aliens, which hasn't been done a lot since the movie Alien, which is why I'm making a point of this. So check this out. Let me know what you think. The next thing is Sin City. another movie that was done piece by piece, actually. They did a short scene and then ended up getting a bunch of people back to back. Robert Rodriguez, love his films, great storytelling with a bunch of different characters and narration, great to check out. Girl Interrupted, great movie that takes place all in one place, and great characters, Winona Ryder, and then you have, of course, you have Angelina Jolie in this as well. So definitely check this out. Let me know what you think. These actresses are great. And then we have here Last Action Hero, guilty pleasure of mine. Directed by one of the directors that did all the first two Die Hard films. And this is really like meta in a way where it's like a ticket that gets you into the movies, but then the movies come out to you or you get inside the movie type of deal. So check it out. Let me know. It's very fun to watch. Love it. The Last Temptation of Christ. Love Martin Scorsese, like I've told you. So this is a different take, saying that basically if Jesus didn't die on the cross, what happened next? So definitely check this out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Mad Max, another indie type film that blew up into a huge franchise. Great film to check out, post-apocalyptic type movie, so check it out. The action is all done real. It's all done in camera, 1980s film. So check it out. Let me know what you think. 12 Monkeys. Ooh, I love 12 Monkeys. 12 Monkeys, Terry Gilliam film, sci-fi. One of my favorite films of his. I actually still need to check out the movie Brazil. I think it's also a sci-fi type film. So let's move on. Now we're going on to Disney Plus. So a film that I haven't checked out myself, but I'm very curious and would love to hear more about it from everybody. It's called The Black Hole. A little dark for Disney, I believe, 1979. So let's move on. Another classic for me is Blank Check. These are more like family-friendly type films that I'm going to be suggesting from here, from Disney Plus. And we're all wrapping this up. So Blank Check, great film. Brave, another great Pixar film that doesn't get a lot of praise. Dinosaur came out in 2000. Doesn't get a lot of praise either. There's many versions of these type of 3D films. Doug's first movie, love it. One of my favorites. I love how it was a little different than the show, even though they had maybe a couple little sci-fi elements to it. But this was very interesting, finding a monster and all that stuff. It's very cool. So check this out. And then this is a great documentary, Empire of Dreams, the story of the Star Wars trilogy. So they tell you how all the little tidbits, at 2.5 hour documentary, tells you all the things that happen within the making of the original trilogy. Okay, so let me know in the comments below if you enjoy that. The Great Mouse Detective. I wasn't kidding when I told you I love film noir, and this is film noir at its best for children films, mystery film, with these little mice. So it's great characterizations. I saw this recently. Obviously, it says there. So check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. The Good Dinosaur. The Good Dinosaur gets a lot of hate, actually. I thought it was fairly good, interesting film, taking some things from Lion King, of course, if you have seen it. But let me know in the comments below if you actually did enjoy this, and this is one of your slight guilty pleasures. I enjoyed this with my wife and my son. My son didn't enjoy it as much as me and my wife did, but we loved it, and it's such a sweet film. So check it out. Let me know in the comments below. The Greatest Game Ever Played. This has Shia LaBeouf in it at his best, coming out of even Stevens and stuff with Disney. So this is one of those historical, biographical type films. Definitely want to check out. Great acting coming from him, and it just shows you dedication and all that, and it should be very inspirational. Hopefully most of these films I've shown you will be inspirational to you as a filmmaker. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, it's a child thing for me, guilty pleasure type film, but great, phenomenal film. Is romantic family film, so definitely check this out. One of the greatest musicals out there too, and just showing that anybody has the chance to be in front of the world and show them their talents and stuff like that. Love his carving talents in this film and being able to carve little characters and create all that out of wood. It's very cool. It's one of my favorite things as a child. Next thing is James and the Giant Peach. James and the Giant Peach totally creeped me out as a kid. From the makers of Nightmare Before Christmas and, coming from the Tim Burton stuff, Coraline and all that stuff. This is one of those movies that got lost and all that. I think people have forgotten about it. Fantasy type film. Let me know in the comments below if you have seen it. Very interesting type film. Next one is one of my guilty pleasures. I believe this is a 20th Century Fox movie, Kazam. I saw it as a kid. Just throwing it in there. I saw it there, and it's one of those things where, I got my love of my obsession of basketball and sneakers and stuff like that. If you've seen this film, you kind of get the idea. Whoops, went too far up. Oh. And there we go, Kazam. And then we go to Meet the Robinsons, inspirational, why I love it. Love the dedication to moving forward when you screw up on things. Oliver and Company, classic, something that a lot of people don't really talk about, the classic Disney animated films. Queen of Katwe, great inspirational film about a girl who has great talent, amazing talent, it says here, with chess. So very inspirational type film of sticking with it and being strong with it, especially if you have a feeling that you're really good at it. Next film, another inspirational type film from Disney, Remember the Titans. I love it. By the time you finish with these type of films, you're just going to be ready to, tackle anything that comes your way. Next film is The Rocketeer. I can't remember too much about this, but I remember little things when I was a kid. It really pushed the limits of my thoughts of film and everything like that. Tron, just, alone seeing where they came from with CGI and stuff like that, and coming from all that all the way to, this point where we're at, where, movies like Avatar, and it's just ultra realism and stuff like that. This is a very cool film to check out. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? One of my favorite films, one of my favorite directors. He ended up directing, he directed Back to the Future, I believe, before this. Great film. It was a film that they did have a crossroads with this whole, trying to add a 2D animation into, a real environment, a 3D environment, and to be able to draw all these characters in frame by frame and make them look 3D like they're really there is a phenomenal achievement. Inside Out, a great storytelling achievement with animation, really pushing the boundaries of how we feel in day to day. WALL-E, another movie that kind of pushed the boundaries for children films and talking about our pollution and everything like that. Great film to check out. I got WALL-E here twice by mistake. And then Up. Up was a Pixar film that really touched on the heartstrings of everyone and really threw me for a loop right in the beginning of the film. So please check that out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And that would be the last of my list. Let me know how you like this video. If you want to hear more of my favorite films, let me know if you've seen any of these films. Please stay safe during the coronavirus. Make sure you have you wash your hands, don't touch your face, and all these things. And take it easy. Don't it get so overwhelmed by all of this. That really soon we'll have a vaccine and we'll be over this, and it'll just be another one of those things that you could even probably make a film about. So let me know in the comments below. Let me quickly see if anybody's here on the live chat. No one's here, so I'm gonna quickly sign off and see you here next week when we do our Blu-ray releases every week, and we'll be talking about 1917. I'll also do a Blu-ray unboxing, which I have it sent from Amazon to me, so so everything's good. I don't have to go to the stores for that. So thank you for joining me here, and I'll see you here next week.